Finn has released his second album, FOMO, that is nearly 4 years after releasing his debut album, and the man joins me today to talk all about it. I've got to say, 4 years is quite a long time in anyone's life. What would you say is the most kind of significant experience you've had in 4 years?
I suppose probably just being a bit of a nomad, really. Once I finished making I'll Be Lightning, I set out, you know, and didn't really come home. I was living in London at the time, and then it became obvious that I wasn't really living anywhere, so I moved out of my place, and it was silly to pay rent while I wasn't there. And yeah, spent about 3 or 4 years just living out of a suitcase, so that was pretty, you know, pivotal moment in my life, yeah.
Now, I love the album title FOMO. Can you explain its origins and its significance to you?
Well, it's an acronym for fear of missing out, and I guess it's sort of it was just a relevant term to me last year when I, you know, after all that travelling, moved back to New Zealand and was living at Piha, the beach, in relative isolation. And my family were all overseas doing things, and my friends were all overseas. My best friend, like Conor Moxon, was touring with my little brother in the band, and Lawrence Arabia was away, and I got kind of a little bit sad that I wasn't sharing it with them all, and that's what I'd been doing. And I think I was craving to be back at the beach and to be, you know, to recharge, but I'd forgotten how much of my life had been, you know, I'd gotten so used to performing every night, and I think in some ways I was FOMOing that I was missing out on something that I'd created overseas, and retreating was maybe a mistake.
Now tell me about the contrast between writing the two albums, the first one as compared to FOMO.
Well, I guess I'll Be Lightning was written after a pretty intense sort of, you know, relative down and out time in London, and I guess this one sort of comes from a complete polar opposite angle, and as much as I kind of was probably in a much happier position, and you know, things were good, and I was very thankful for how wonderful my life was and stuff. I got kind of sort of anxious just about trying to make music again, and what it meant to write songs, or how to write songs, or how to be honest with the music again. It'll
be interesting to tour it, because you've got a new band behind you as well, don't you?
Yeah, I've tried to kind of expand on what I already did with EJ as a two-piece, and doing the sort of one-man band thing with looping my guitar and playing drums, and I really didn't want to lose that element of, you know, spontaneity or danger, I suppose, because it was always teetering on the edge of disaster.
Is there a big musical shift, would you say, between the London scene and heading over to New York, America?
Yeah, I think in some ways I relate a lot more to the American music scene and the stuff coming out of New York. You know, I don't really know how I quite fit in with it, but a lot of the bands I really love come from New York, or, you know, and English bands are, you know, there's some great ones too, but there's something strange about living in London where you don't really ever feel part of a scene. It's quite dog eat dog, and, you know, you make friends and stuff, but it's so heavily run by the promoters and the club nights that you can't even sort of form your little posses of let's do shows together. It feels quite different, whereas I think New York's a bit more communal, and you can really bed in with a scene or something. Yeah.
Cool. Right, well, for the punters, we've got something very exciting. I'll get you to hold the microphone while I hold up what is inside. The bag.
The bag. It's inside the bag. The bag. The money or the bag? Take the bag. And.
There we go. So we've got the posters, the signed posters, the CD, FOMO, and the bag, and tickets to a Liam Finn show that is closest to your town. So if you want to get in the draw, email me, Nzown at JuiceTV.com, and I'll sort you out in the meantime. Thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you.
And we're going to go check out actually your latest video clip right here that we love at Juice. I've got to ask before we get into it, were any animals harmed during the making of this clip?
No animals, no. I swear to God that it was purely synthetic. All synthetic. Everything in the video is synthetic.
Okay, let's go check it out. It is brand fresh, hot off the press, Liam Finn and Cold Feet.